everybody, and welcome to another week of the Beyond Parody podcast. My name is Dan Dillon. I am the CEO and co-founder of Not the Bee, and I am joined by our usual panel, Robin Garfield, who is the co-host and a Babylon Bee writer.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here.
And Joel Abbott, the editor-in-chief, Galactic Emperor, it looks like you have.
Galactic Emperor profile for the day.
And we have Mr. B, our
technical director,
our tech guru, if you will.
Cheers, family.
So this week we have, the news was dominated at the beginning of the week with the blue suit hoax, I'll call it. Obviously, everybody knows that the Pope died roughly a week ago now. And over the weekend, everybody convened in the Vatican and there was the funeral. The only thing that the media talked about was the color of Trump's suit, which was blue. And it was one of the best examples of the media gaslighting everybody with a zoomed in picture of Trump wearing a blue suit and a couple people around him wearing a black suit. But the media went into a frenzy over this about how he's disrespecting the rest of the world. Meanwhile, Zelensky's not even in a suit. And if you zoom the photo out just a littlest bit, you can see other blue suits all around him. So, is anybody ever going to hold the media accountable for actually presenting the truth?
Well, X says they were blue, but Trump's was the most blue. And that was the really most offensive thing. They really went forensic on this one, the internet. And the other suits were navy, but Trump's was more of a royal blue. So that was the most offensive thing at the Pope's funeral.
How dare he?
Of the suit.
Oh,
literally
royal
Hitler.
Blue.
Only Hitler would do that.
So you can see, if the people who are watching can see the photo here, you've got Trump in a blue suit. It is a little bit more blue, I guess, than some. But I mean, you see this guy over here. He's got a blue suit. You got a blue sash going on over here. I mean, who wears a sash, honestly? I can count in this picture, and I believe this picture, maybe the saturation was brought up a little bit so you can see it, but you can count without any doubt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 25 blue suits in this picture of 75 people.
Yeah, this one does have more saturation because Joe Biden, if you look at him in the original photo, his suit looks quite black. It looks quite dark. But yeah, for sure, there's a lot of blue ties. There's a lot of very dark blue, and that type of dark blue there's a shade of dark blue that is actually considered more formal than just straight black. It's super dark blue, but I don't know. I read this whole thing on
formal blue.
I don't know. I think there's more things the media should be concerned with that would actually benefit Americans.
No.
No, this is it. The blue suit hoax, though, is just, it's just that. It's a hoax. The media coverage, there was something I saw with the percentages of positive versus negative media coverage of different figures, and Trump's at like 93% negative. Elon's at like 96% negative. I think Hegseth's at 100% negative from major media outlets reporting on them over the course of the last week. I mean, it's insane. They can't focus on anything. They can't focus on Trump sitting down with Zelensky, working out apparently a mineral deal right there in the Vatican and St. Peter's Basilica, I think, is where they were sitting. So anyway, it's absolute train wreck of gaslighting is the current state of our media, and nothing that you see, no headline that you see, can you believe at face value. One thing that you can believe is that the Star Wars prequels.
That was a good transition.
Thank you. Were horrible, right? They were horrible movies. They weren't horrible.
Heretic.
They weren't horrible entertainment, but they were horrible movies. That's what I say. What do you say, Robin?
2001, they were horrible. In 2020 or whatever year the first one came out. In 2025, they look pretty good compared to what we've come out with since then. I don't have a lot of feelings for the prequels. I love the original with all my heart, and the prequels were fine, but everything I've seen since then has been garbage. So comparatively, Jar Binks is Charlton Heston.
Jar Binks was the single worst thing about the prequels, but The prequels. First, let me show this. Transitioning from the Pope to the prequels. This is a perfect transition. Look at this tweet. We retweeted it, whatever you want to call it, reposted it on X. The year is 2005. The Pope just died, but you're excited to see Revenge of the Sith in the theaters. The year is 2025. The Pope just died, but you're excited to see Revenge of the Sith in the theaters.
Or the best thing in the theaters right now.
20 years later, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Did any of you go see Revenge of the Sith? I actually plan to do it. I want my kids to see an original Star Wars movie, even if it's a prequel, one of the George Lucas Star Wars movies. Let's just say that in the theaters to kind of experience that. They've never seen a theatrical release of Star Wars in the theaters.
Is it still? How long is the run?
I think it's out this weekend too. I mean, they made a lot of money. I can't imagine they would pull it.
It was over 40 million. It's probably going to be there for a few weekends. I just have to say, since both of you apparently don't like the prequels, only a Sith deals in absolutes, and
I will do what I must.
I did not say. See, this is the thing. You get into this discussion, and
I know.
Everybody takes sides. I did not say I didn't enjoy the prequels. I love the prequels. Every single time the prequels are on TV, I stop and I watch them. I don't know why, but I'm mesmerized by the prequels. Part of it is the cheesiness and campiness and the bad acting. Part of it is I actually really like the overall story, even though there's some ridiculous flaws in the story. But I love everything about them. The visuals are sometimes horrible, but I love them. And I don't know. But when you look at it just from the standpoint of cinema, Robin, I feel like you should have a strong opinion about this. But when you look at it from cinema, editing, visual effects, story, character development, pacing, acting, directing, they're horrible. I mean, every single thing about them it's horrible. Like,
so I don't know if you know this, but I always say the prequels. I love the prequels. I get what you're saying. I always say it's evidence that divorce is ruining our country because George Lucas's ex-wife was the one who served as the main editor for 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
And after they got divorced, she actually went to go see episode 1, and she said she walked out of the theater like aghast, like almost crying because she thought the editing was so bad. If they would have stayed married, the prequels would have completed the masterpiece, but they did not. And so that is a warning to us as a civilization.
She wrote a lot of the plot points in the original series. This is terrible. I don't know her name. Is this Saturday? I can
look it up.
She had so much sway over Lucas with the.
It was Georgette Lucas.
Thank you. Say her name, Georgette Lucas. But
Marcia Lucas.
I would pay good money. I would take out a mortgage on my house. Don't quote me on this. But if somebody would commit to making a new Star Wars movie, film it in practical effects, I would say 70 to 80% practical effects, and maybe film it on film. Digital has ruined a lot of things. It's ruined lighting. It's ruined staging. It's ruined a lot of atmosphere that we put in the movies.
Are you saying if they remade the prequels or just a new Star Wars movie?
If we're going to make a new Star Wars movie, make it practical effects, 70 to 80% practical, and film it on film. Why not?
I mean, and make sure Jar Binks isn't in it.
I didn't hate Jar Jar. I don't know. He was
the true villain all along.
Yeah.
Let's hear everyone's Jar Jar impersonation.
I will not say hate
Go ahead, Dan. I know you want to do it.
He's not the one to do it.
That was more like Mario. I don't know.
I'm not having that accent on my.
I detected some Italian in there.
I don't know. Jar Jar is really bad. If you just replace Jar Jar Binks with a normal character who doesn't do silly, stupid things on scene the entire time and act like one of the Three Stooges, the first movie is still pretty bad from the standpoint, like I'm saying, of cinema. It's still pretty bad.
You could have replaced Jar Jar with E.T. and it would be just the same.
I would love to see that. E.T. was in the original. Did you know that?
No. What?
Yeah, in the Galactic Senate. I don't know if it's the original or if it's Attack of the Clones, but it's one of the two.
Oh, that's right.
When they're in the Galactic Senate and you've got all the orbs in the Senate, and you can see at the bottom left-hand side of the screen,
Easter egg.
You've got you've got 3 of them, and they're going like this. When it's when Padme says, "This is how democracy dies," with thunderous applause. I believe.
I think
it's that one. You can see the little ETs down there, which
great T-shirt for the.
It's great. That's great. That's a nice little
Easter egg.
Easter egg, yeah.
That's great.
So anyway, I do plan to take my kids to see it. I think it's fun. I love the prequels. I don't want anybody to misquote me on that, but they are also horrible cinema in the best way possible, in the very best way possible. All right. So before we move on to the clip of the week, which I want to show you guys because it's really funny, Robin, you have a word from our sponsor?
I sure do. We have an amazing sponsor, and we've talked about them before, but it is a company called Graci. They are the organic wellness water that does more than just hydrate. This small business was founded on a mission to keep jobs here at home, which is a big deal right now. We're hearing a lot about American manufacturing. They invest in American manufacturing instead of sending production overseas, which means they probably have a little bit of an edge on production right now. Made and sourced in the United States, each bottle of Graci is packed with detoxifying barley grass juice powder plus 100% of your daily vitamin C, D, and zinc, which is important for someone like me with 5 kids and teenagers who don't want to eat anything but frozen pizza. It's USDA certified organic, plant-based, vegan, low in sugar, making it perfect for athletes, families, and anyone who wants to stay healthy on the go. Graci is perfect for anyone seeking good health and peak performance and is the proven hydration beverage of choice for professional athletes. Graci is the proud sponsor of fighters in mixed martial arts. I love watching MMA. I'm probably the only minivan driving mom out there who really loves to sit and watch MMA fights. It's the fastest growing sport in America. Most recently, Graci was the official hydration sponsor of the Baroka, where Legends Rise event in Las Vegas, where young professionals mixed martial arts compete. So head over to Graci.com and use the code NTB20, and you can save 20% on your entire one-time purchase today. It does not apply to subscriptions. Again, that's Graci, Graasi.com. Use the code NTB20. When you sip on Graci, you're not just nourishing yourself, you're helping support American workers and local communities across the country. So thank you, Graci, so much for sponsoring this episode.
Very well said, Robin.
Thank you.
So our clip of the week, our audio clip of the week is the manliest man I know, Mr. Tim Walz.
Timmy.
Previously the vice presidential candidate. He almost won it for her. But he was speaking at an event this week and he had the greatest clip of the week. So let's listen real quick to what Timmy Walz has to say.
To improve people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, we didn't get enough of those votes.
So guys, I'm a woman. Did Tim Walz give you permission to vote for Kamala Harris? Did you all feel masculine?
I thought the clip's hilarious because his own audience, his own captive audience, chuckled at him being the voice that can speak to the American man.
I learned how to load a shotgun from him. That's all I can say.
Oh my gosh. The code talk to white guys about trucks and beer.
The permission structure language, which I know is some sort of internal political lingo for, how they choose candidates and stuff like that. But it's like the idea that they brought this guy on so that
tough men
felt like they had permission now to vote for Kamala is the most insane thing. And what I want to know is, did anybody actually, is Tim Walz just making this up because that's what he thinks of himself in his own head? Or did somebody actually look at this guy and think this is a man's man?
No, he was told this. This is 100% messaging from the Democrats. They said, you're a manly man. Look, Tim Walz internally is probably a fine dude. He's got kids. He's a dad. But as the face of masculinity, that shows you what the Democrats think of white dudes. They think Tim Walz is look over on the right, you've got Pete Hegseth and JD Vance, and then they've got Tim Walz. So it does show you why they might be losing a little bit in the polls.
All you have, I mean, he is the epitome of the bumbling dad from all of the sitcoms over the last 30 years. It is this idea of the lovable oaf, the Homer Simpson type, the white bland guy who's really dumb, not civilized.
A knucklehead.
All you need is that clip of Kamala Harris asking him about spice. And he's like, well, does mayo count? And it's like, you're reducing this entire people group, multiple countries, thousands of years of heritage, all the rest of it. If you were to do that to anyone else except a white guy, it would be called racist. But that was what Kamala Harris was running on. Look at this bland white dude, everybody. I don't know. Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
What were they talking about? White guy tacos. That was weird.
Yeah, that was that whole clip. Yeah, he's code signaling to me. He's code signaling something with his wrists every time he talks.
Flappy Bird.
He definitely knows how to code signal something.
It's the foot under the bathroom stall. That's what the code is.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, I said it.
So, we also, some new news came out this week about the DC plane crash with the Black Hawk helicopter. And we learned that, I guess, through the ATC, the air traffic control communications and everything, they were able to determine that the pilot in command, who is a female, she was being told both by air traffic control and by her training pilot for up to 15 seconds to change course and to deviate to their left in order to avoid the collision with the jet. And she didn't. She just kept going straight. And so, the story is, who's at fault in this situation? Is it her? Is it the training pilot who apparently, he could have taken the controls at any point in time and overridden the straight path, but didn't. So the question is, why did he not? And the other question is, how is it possible that you get two significant crashes in the course of a month, both training female pilots with a male sitting next to them getting into these situations? The odds are very, very low of that happening, by the way. I did the numbers. Only 6% of military and commercial airline pilots are female. And so for us to have two crashes, and for both of the pilots in charge at the time, pilots in command at the time, to be female, the odds were 0.36%. They're the odds of that happening. So I'm not saying at all that female pilots are incapable. I think there are a lot of very capable female pilots, but are they being put into these positions before they're trained properly because they're female? That's the main question I have, correct?
Yeah. I think it's a really delicate conversation because in the course of the Black Hawk, obviously a lot of people died and it was super tragic. But you're right. If you look at this trajectory of promoting people maybe artificially before they're fully ready to go, and then maybe putting them in situations that they're not prepared for, I do think we need to have a conversation about that, whether it's women or minorities or
we're having a constant conversation about it with this whole DEI thing, right? I mean, that we're constantly talking about this, but people's lives are being put at risk, and how do you solve this problem to not continue to have these types of incidents? How do you like I said, I believe that women can be competent pilots. Do I think that women are the ideal candidates for pilots in general? I don't. I think that in general, male characteristics of spatial awareness and things like that, I can get in trouble for saying anything to differentiate between the sexes, right? But I really honestly believe that analytical thinking, spatial awareness, reflexes, some of the things physically even, the strength to command an airplane, lend itself to being males. Like I think that males make more sense to be in that role. That doesn't mean that females can't do it. They can't do it competently. I just think that there's a smaller percentage of them that can. Just like there's a smaller percentage.
What do you think about that, Robin?
Oh, I'm going to get canceled for saying this. I agree. But I do think
you just lost your feminist card.
I just lost my feminist card. No, I agree. I also agree that maybe it's just a different kind of training for women. And I do think there are definitely differences in the ways that men and women view different technical issues. I personally, and I don't believe much in anecdotal, whatever, but I don't have a real mathematical brain. I know there are many women who do though. So there's a bell curve, right, of the sexes.
Yeah, that's the exact thing. There's a bell curve. And it's just like doing push-ups. There's a requirement for real push-ups to become a Marine or whatever, right? And it's like, it's not that there are no women that can do it. There are women that can do it. It's just there's a much smaller percentage.
Well, there's limitations on the sexes, yeah, and we need to be aware of the limitations. I also believe, and again with the getting canceled, that men in positions like nursery, nurses, and in teaching, there are certain skills that men lack in those areas of employment that they might need extra training, or they might just not have. Men don't have the patience to do some of those things.
Wait, yeah. I'm really confused. You're saying that men and women are different.
Correct.
That we have different strengths. There are different things that we are good at. I'm blown away by this. I was told that we were just blobs that were exactly identical in all ways.
Okay, Robin, name a job that Joel would be terrible at because he's a man.
I don't know Joel that
Because I'm a
well. I
man.
mean, I know Joel. I think I don't know, preschool teacher, Joel. Could you spend 6 hours a day with 32-year-olds and teach them their shapes? I mean, it's not really technical.
I am able to do it with my 4 children. That doing it long term, no.
I can't. When you're being honest, though, like I have 4 kids too, and I have much more patience with them than with other kids.
Oh,
but the
absolutely. Me
patience
too.
required to actually teach them and to actually nurture them in the way that they need to be nurtured in that type of an environment, I don't. Even with my own kids. With my own kids. But once you get away from my own kids, it's like I don't want to be around kids at all. It's
I don't
like,
either, which puts me on the bell curve.
You're on the bell curve, I guess, because in general, women have much more patience and much more just nurturing attitude towards kids. Like they want to, help them learn and whatever. I don't. And I'm sure Joel doesn't either. And I'm sure Mr. B
It's
doesn't.
amazing this is controversial, honestly. Like, what a time to be alive.
It is controversial. There will be people who watch this episode and are actually really upset about what we're saying somehow. I don't know
One of
how.
the best examples, really quick, of the difference of the sexes. A few years ago, I dropped a glass down the dish disposal and it ground up glass. And I was reaching down trying to pull up shards of glass with my bare hands. And I was just screaming in pain. I'm like, ah! And my husband came over and he's like, whoa. Let's strategize. He got out tongs and like came up with a plan. And I just over there just like.
Wait a second.
That sounds like a scene of Final Destination.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Well, no, it wasn't still going.
That's terrifying.
It had ground up the glass. The disposal was off, but I didn't strategize. I don't know if this is a great example of difference coming, but I do remember thinking like he paused and came up with like a strategy on how to extract the glass from the disposal, whereas I was just grabbing chunks of glass.
I would say in general, whether the disposal is running or not, reaching your hand into the disposal for any reason at any time is not a great decision.
Ooh, I dropped my wedding ring in a plugged-in blender. Let me
I
go.
only put my hand down the garbage disposal after it is unplugged from the wall.
Oh, I don't. I'm very
And
cavalier.
all children are accounted for and not underneath the sink. That's. I'm glad a man stepped in, Robin.
I guess so. I guess I needed a man to tell me not to stick my hand down into shards of glass in the disposal.
But going back to that story, the op-ed that I wrote, it was interesting because the details, people are still arguing about the details. We actually had a few pilots, former Army pilots. One of them flies for American. One of them actually knew Warrant Officer Eves, who was the training instructor on the flight. And they were a little bit critical of the New York Times' coverage. It was weird. There's lots of layers here. The New York Times seems to be leveling blame at a female pilot, which would be sort of an anti-DEI piece, but it's the New York Times, so they're woke. So what exactly is the narrative here? And so people are arguing about some of those particular details. I said, we can argue the details. That's fine. We can talk about competency. We can talk about the percentage of women versus percentage of men that are competent, some of the differences in biology. But at the end of the day, the core problem that we have is that this racial and this gender Marxism has undermined trust in the system. I can't know whether she was qualified or not. She's up on stage with Joe Biden, who's pushing DEI in the White House as a political aide, and she's flying helicopters at night with night vision. Is she actually qualified for the latter, or was she elevated to that position because of her gender, because of her political beliefs, because she was a Democrat supporter? I don't know, but DEI makes it so that we can never know the answer to that. And when you're talking about crowded airspace, you have to have an answer to that. Yeah. And so that's the real danger here, is that nobody trusts the system, and we have to be able to trust something as complicated as air travel and flying.
Yeah, and it doesn't do anybody any favors either, because as a woman, then I have to wonder, am I being promoted in my role, in my job, wherever I am? Probably not here, but at other companies, because I'm a woman, because I've worked at companies before that have put me in roles that I probably wasn't prepared at.
Speaking of being promoted, Robin, I'm promoting you.
Oh yeah, let's.
This week, we have promoted Robin to co-host of this humble weekly podcast. And you're going to be taking on the producer role from this point forward. We're going to be making some changes in the podcast structure. We're going to be upgrading some of our technical stuff and making a bigger push to get some other guests and interesting segments on the show and stuff like that. And Robin is going to be leading the charge.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. Producing is
And it's only because you're female.
It's only because I'm a woman. You need to give me something to do.
You were not the most qualified for the job.
I wasn't. Definitely not. That is absolutely true. There are 100 men.
I passed over 99 men.
Dan, couldn't you find any women of color? Come on.
No. They were all out fighting a gorilla.
At the Babylon Bee, being a woman is diverse enough. I mean, that's about the best that we can do.
I'll take it. No, I'm super excited. I believe really strongly in the mission of our show here, and I think we only are going up and up and up. So yeah, I'll be running some more promotion and marketing stuff for us and working more on the production angle. That's my background. I was a radio producer for 15 years, and I'm very comfortable in that role. So hopefully it'll translate into this show.
And if anybody watching or listening or watching, specifically on YouTube wants to comment with any segments and stuff like that they want us to do on the show, we're thinking about getting the community from Not the Bee and Babylon Bee a little bit more involved in the show, having some guests on from the community, reading some more forum headlines, which we're actually going to do this week. The Babylon Bee podcast isn't happening on a regular basis as much anymore, so we wanted to start to transition some of those segments that we were doing on that podcast here. And it's not really this podcast isn't really just meant to be just a Not the Bee podcast. It's kind of the Babylon Bee family is really what this podcast is all about, and it's just kind of looking at the real world implications of the satire and the stories that we're running on Not the Bee and the Babylon Bee, and going through all that. So if you guys have any ideas for things that you guys want to see that maybe you used to see on the old Babylon Bee podcast, or anything that you guys want us to revive, comment below and let us know.
Yes, we'd love ideas for guests. We want to have a good range of people. So yeah, comment, give us your thoughts, but the only positive thoughts. I don't take, as a woman, I don't take criticism. So you may not criticize me in the comments. It will destroy me.
All right. So now I'm going to give the floor to Robin in her first official solo segment. You're going to go ahead and read the craziest headlines of the week from Not the Bee this week.
Oh my goodness. Not the Bee is so fun because it really is sometimes, and we need to have people on that can answer. You all know if these are Not the Bee versus Bee stories, because of course Joel helped write a lot of these, but some of these are truly out there. So the first one, this one just came up today. Jasmine Crockett said, how would they feel if I get a break. How would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly into our country?
How is this person? Oh my gosh.
You all draw your own conclusions. All right. The next one. Chuck Schumer tried to bash on Trump's approval ratings, but then a reporter asked an important follow-up question. And I'm sure all you know what the important follow-up question is. And it was, Chuck, what are your approval ratings right now? They honestly asked that. And then he said, approval ratings go up and down. Polls go up and down. It doesn't really matter. It's like
17.
Yeah, 17 is his approval rating right now, Chucky. So, oh my gosh. All right. This clip was another clip of the week, and you should go read the story on Not the Bee. Watch this California man learn in real time how our entire medical billing system is a scam. Now, some people said the call was staged, but he's calling an insurance company and saying, hey, look, when I showed up, I didn't have insurance and you charged me $600 out of pocket. And then I called in and said, oh no, I do have insurance, run it through. And now you're charging me $1,300 once I have insurance. Why did the number go up after you ran it through my insurance? And they said, well, we gave you a discount originally for being uninsured, which makes
sense.
Honestly, you can use that to your advantage a lot. If you got a high deductible, which we all do now, right? Everybody has a high deductible. I had to get an MRI 2 years ago, and I asked them straight up, how much is this going to cost if I pay out of pocket versus with insurance? And they told me, with insurance, it's going to cost you $2,000. Without insurance, it's going to cost you $450. I said, I do not have insurance. And they're like, okay. And I paid $450 because I'm not going to get anywhere near my deductible or max out of pocket. I'm 40 years old and I'm relatively healthy. I'm not going to have $12,000 in bills,
When you spend some time in our family's been cash pay, for 5 years now. When you spend time in that environment, you start to realize that things are actually quite cheap when you can negotiate prices as the customer. Yes. And it is really crazy. Just some of the smallest things, you would not believe how much they charge under an insurance billing program. But yeah, it is in California, there's that extra layer of crazy because they have a policy where if you're uninsured, there
Yeah,
are
discount.
funds available
Yeah.
where you get a discount. So then again, government incentives, it's the welfare incentives. It's just such a screwed up. Why would I want insurance if I could get 50% off by not having insurance?
It's ridiculous. And I could, with my 5 kids,
Yeah.
I could go on and on. But
the answer is that you want catastrophic insurance.
Right.
And under Obamacare, you were no longer allowed to have the one thing that you actually need and want, which is catastrophic health insurance. Everybody should have catastrophic health insurance. If you get into a car accident and there's, somebody gets sued, God forbid, or somebody dies and there's $250,000 worth of bills that add up, you need catastrophic health insurance.
Yeah.
But just going to the doctor to get, checked up or whatever, the prices are just insane. Anyway.
That's outrageous. All right. This one came out today and I love it. Go look at the pictures.
Tren de Aragua.
Spelled out SOS with their bodies in a Texas detention center. So I guess we have to let them all out now. They did. They stood and made a little SOS.
It's crazy that that's real. That seems that reads exactly like a Babylon Bee. In fact, we did the whole thing with the yachts spelling out SOS, and it was like the was that during COVID or no? What was that
was
during?
for the what's it called? The big climate summit. Climate
with their
activists
yachts, with their super yachts.
Spell out like save the earth in their super yachts or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just
funny.
thinking of like it literally looks like an episode of Orange is the New Black. Some other, I mean, all
so
these
fun.
people in the prison, all these Venezuelan gangsters, murderers for hire, and they're all forming a human chain, forming these this SOS, and there's a Reuters drone just flying overhead.
And they knew that the photographer was coming. Oh my gosh. All right. The last one may be my favorite, and you've got to go read the full article on the New York Times. So the New York Times just ran a 1,400 word story to explain what cross necklaces are. So I don't know if you guys are aware, there's these necklaces that people wear. They're these little T's, and they represent Christianity and a person's devotion to Jesus Christ. I'm sure no one here or no one even listening has heard. So go read this very
strange.
toothy piece from the New York Times explaining exactly what a cross necklace is and why people might want to wear them in the year of our Lord 2025.
So one other thing that's ridiculous that happened this week that I want to talk about that we didn't, I don't know that we did. Did we do an article on the interview where Trump was asked about the photoshopped knuckles of the
ABC?
Yeah, the ABC interview where he said he wasn't 100% certain he was even going to finish the interview. Did we do an article on that or no?
We did one on the ABC interview. I don't know about that exchange in particular.
But this whole thing, it's the way that people argue about this whole MS-13 on the knuckles thing, let me show you this. This is, I think, from a leftist. It doesn't have a lot of views or anything like that, a lot of likes on, but this is you have these types of tweets all over the place. Trump seriously thought the knuckle MS-13 wasn't a bad Photoshop. He's mentally declining at warp speed. And like, it's disingenuous the way that they're even approaching this, right? And Trump, as much as you might like Trump, he doesn't do a great job of defending some of his positions. And all he had to say was that nobody is arguing that the M, the S, the 1, and the 3 is photoshopped on this stupid picture. Nobody is arguing that. What they're arguing is that, but he's saying, oh, it wasn't photoshopped. And of course this is photoshopped with this, but that's what the M, the S, the 1, and the 3 represent. That's what those tattoos mean. The Photoshop is just bringing to your attention what those mean. But they're insinuating through, the ABC insinuated this in the interview, is that the entire photo is photoshopped, right? Including everything that's in it, including the actual tattoos.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know. This is a story I haven't looked very deeply into. I mean, you could Photoshop tattoos on knuckles. I don't know if it's been authenticated.
But Trump's not necessarily
right.
like he's not responding to it the right way, because they're saying, are you saying that photo is not Photoshopped? And he's saying it's not Photoshopped. And so everybody's like saying, oh, he's an idiot, because obviously the M, the S, the 1, and the 3 are the same font as what's above. But it's like, what he's saying is that
it's labeled.
The tattoos aren't photoshopped, right? Like, it's very obvious what he's saying, and it frustrates the heck out of me that there are people in positions of power, Trump included, that that don't do a good job of defending their positions. Like, it's very easy to defend that position and say, but you know what? Even when he does defend the position, like let's say the very fine people hoax, right? Like he went and clarified what he meant by that, but then they just ignored that. So even when he does actually defend well and clarify what he was saying, the media just simply ignores what he says in order to create this narrative that he's a complete moron.
That's why I
say
really
that that's not photoshopped.
I really like JD Vance. I feel like he's one of the few people out there that's really good at knowing exactly what the other side is trying to say or trying to accuse him of, and then to really drill down on the actual argument. He's really masterful at that. And I want him to give lessons to his colleagues and how to. Well,
it takes being more of a normal person that actually thinks through things, because politicians are trained on scripts. Now, I'm not saying Trump's like that. Trump more just isn't as interested in those types of details, right?
He's a little more off the cuff.
But your typical politician, like the Elizabeth Warren type, who's like the ultimate like example of, you know, just speaking to a script and speaking to a narrative, they're not able to think about those things because they don't know how to go outside of that narrative. They don't know how to deviate from that. But Vance is able to actually process what people are asking of him, think about what he actually thinks about it, and then express what he feels back, which is a very unique skill set for politicians for some reason. I don't know why, but that's why, you know, Ronald Reagan was successful as a politician as well. It sounded like you were actually having a conversation with somebody.
He was authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, Elizabeth Warren drinks beer though, so, you know.
I didn't know that.
So something we're going to start doing this week is we're going to focus a little bit on the Babylon Bee forum. And these are user submitted headlines. For those of you who don't know, we have a forum on our website. And if you become a subscriber, you can actually submit your own headlines for the Babylon Bee and kind of pitch them to our team. And a lot of them end up getting either featured on the site on the homepage or actually get turned into real articles that are published and you get credit for it. I mean, it's a really fun thing to do to try and think of these headlines. And we're going to let Robin go through some of her favorite featured headlines of the week right now.
Yeah, these are great. And just as an aside, I got hired off the forum. A lot of us as employees came up through the forum. So it's a great place to test out your headline writing skills.
Yeah, let's read your favorite headlines and then also the name of the user.
The username. All right. Mm-hmm. So the top one is from Kiergol, who is just great. She used to be a writer for us. She's so strong as a writer, but her headline was "Church Organist Celebrates 187th Birthday." That's fantastic. Good job. At Nice Guy 79, as if things couldn't get any worse, Job's friends inform him he's been drafted by Cleveland. Even I get that joke, and I don't know sports. I think that's great. All right. At Optimus Bartlederp. I love the names. Money can't buy happiness, says guy who's never bought a taco. That's slow clap on that one. At The Big Freeze, road construction workers busy putting out cones 3 months before work begins. We all can relate to that. At Slinky, Fauci suggests Democrats maintain 6-foot social distance from JD Vance. That's a little Pope throwback. At Don't Slow the Earth, Venezuela thanks U.S. Supreme Court for keeping dangerous criminals out of their country. Good one. All right, just a few more. At WrestleLand 619, you guys are killing me. Harvard confident it can harass its Jewish students even without Trump's federal funding. That's fantastic. WrestleLand.
That is pretty good. I
619.
Like that.
I wish I thought of that. At Kesk. JKESK. Couple has another baby to stay on church meal train. Oh, I feel this one. I'm just my kids now, because we've had these last 2 babies, just keep saying, can we get those dinners that they brought in for the 3 weeks?
Last week you were talking about how you basically are just in it for the money.
I'm just in it for
this speaks to you directly.
The food, the meal train, and possibly the kickbacks. All right. And this one actually got published. This is from Tyler Montgomery. It's so great. And we have it on our homepage. Local dad has to be forcibly removed from World War II museum.
I love that.
It's so, and here's the great part. So we ran the story and we used an image, we just kind of pull stock images, and the museum, I don't know if you guys know this, the museum that we used the backdrop for the World War II museum tweeted us and said they were really shocked and excited to see that we'd used their World War II museum photo of their museum in our headline. I thought it was so great, this little connection with them. We're super proud that we used their World War II museum. Oh my goodness. Those are some great headlines. The forum's a lot of fun. It's a good group of people, and we really appreciate our subscribers.
If you want to contribute and pitch your headlines, you should go over to the Babylon Bee or notthebee.com and subscribe. There's a bundle subscription where you can get access to both. And on Not the Bee, you have actually a full social forum, kind of like our own private Facebook or whatever, where everybody can talk behind the scenes in a social platform.
And we won't even censor the Hunter Biden laptop story if you are talking about it. Not the
Yeah, you can actually post about it. All right, so I think that's it for news, stories, and headlines today. So, Mr. B, take it away for some personal questions.
Robin, are you ready?
I am ready.
Name one thing you feared as a kid.
Okay, this is good because I had a lot of paranoias. I am deathly afraid as an adult and especially as a child of snakes. I had an incident where a snake bit my dog right in front of me, a rattlesnake, on a hiking trail when I was probably 5. And it has instilled a very strong sense of snake fear. I can't be around them. I can't touch them. Can't see them.
Is it Indiana or his dad that was afraid of snakes?
It's
Indiana
Indy.
Jones.
Yeah, I hate snakes. Yeah, I'm that. They actually.
His dad hates rats, right? Is that what it is?
I get like a physiological response. I get like my legs start going numb, and I can't do snakes. I'm not a squeamish person in general. I don't mind bugs or rats or rodents, but snakes.
Is it because they don't have any arms or legs, but they're going to bite you?
I just think at that young age of watching my dog survived. It was a Chihuahua and he got struck twice in the neck by a rattlesnake, like 5 feet away from me. And we rushed him to the vet, and I think it just broke my brain.
All right. So in honor of the big question of the week, which we can discuss more generally, I'm going to follow up that question, Mr. B, before we move on. Who do you think would win, Robin? 100 snakes versus Robin?
Oh, I would just curl up in a ball. I'd be done. I don't know what
These can just be your run-of-the-mill garden snakes. They don't have to be poisonous at all.
Robin or Robin with a chainsaw?
Ooh.
Or even a garden hose or a garden rake, not a hose. Can I lift them out of the way and just walk? Can I make a path out of the snakes? I don't want to kill them. I just don't want to be around them.
I think I could win against 100 garden snakes.
Yeah, garden snakes probably
pretty easy.
I don't know. I might pass out, but before I passed out, I could take a few down.
It wouldn't be
What percentage
fun.
of the population likes snakes?
All the weirdos.
A lot of kids like snakes. They think they're kind of cool. They want to have one in like a terrarium or whatever that you put a snake in.
When you're like a 35-year-old man and you really, really, really love snakes, that's more of a red flag.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Is that when you were 35, Joel, you had snakes?
That's it's more, I'm thinking more like Voldemort, just people that really love, for the homeschooled kids, Voldemort is a character from Harry Potter.
Dan, what about you? Childhood fear?
Childhood fear. I don't know. I've never liked heights, but one thing that really scared me as a kid, it was really weird. So my dad was a pastor, and we lived in Uniontown. Uniontown Bible Church is the church that my dad was at the time. And there was a parsonage at Uniontown Bible Church. And when we moved there, and for some reason, I don't know why, me and my brother were sharing a room, and the room had this wallpaper on it. I have no idea why anybody chose this wallpaper. I wish I had a picture of it because it was the scariest thing. It had like knights and like castles, but then it also had this witch, and it was like, those repeating wallpapers where it's like little pictures, and every like fifth one was this witch, and she was on her broomstick and she was like laughing.
Jeez.
And it was like, and I was deathly afraid of Wizard of Oz and the witch in Wizard of Oz. And she was green, and she had a big, mole or whatever. And every night I'm going to bed staring at this wallpaper.
Jeez.
Dan, I'm going to ask your
like
mom
a
if she
lot,
has a
Dan.
picture of that wallpaper.
I'm like, I don't understand why that was the wallpaper in the room at all. What kid wants that as their wallpaper? Because whoever the pastor was before us when we moved in, they wanted that wallpaper. But I remember it traumatized me for a couple of months before, finally they took it down and they put something else up. But that was my biggest childhood fear was.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched Wizard of Oz?
I love Wizard of Oz now. My girls got into Wicked, so they wanted to watch the original a bunch too. So, there's actually a really cool IMAX, not IMAX, but in Vegas, they're redoing Google actually did this. They're like re-releasing the Wizard of Oz in the big, what was it called? The Sphere, the Eye, whatever it's called.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
They're using artificial intelligence to upscale the Wizard of Oz to 12K.
Jeez.
And then also expanding the frame of every single frame so that, you know, it actually fits the right aspect ratio. And they're going to, I don't know if it's happening now or if it's happening in the future, but they announced it, that they're going to do that. That would actually be pretty cool to see, I think.
We're a short 5-hour drive from Vegas. We were down there 2 weeks ago. I would totally drive down to see that.
What's that thing called? Is it the Sphere?
The Sphere. Yeah, it's super cool. Of all the crazy stuff in Vegas, that's something we're seeing. It just really looks like crazy modern tech that you just can't believe it unless you see it.
All right, Joel. If your brain was a browser, what windows would be open?
What windows would be open?
Like 8,000.
I feel like my brain is a browser. I feel like my brain is a browser. I'm basically melded into the news cycle. I've got a million tabs open when I'm plugged into the matrix.
All he needs is the Not the Bee, Babylon Bee, and Twitter.
Yeah,
that's it.
There you go. That's it. I think you're asking like what categories would I spend the most time thinking about is in a clever way. There'd be Bible Gateway would be open. That would definitely be open. Then you'd have like some commentary from some archaic church father that would be open. And then there'd be a news tab open, random video games open, a meme section open, and then camping, I don't know, magazine, something, just everything having to do with taking the RV, the camper out there, since it's something we do, especially in the summer. I don't know. There's like a million things that I could list, but those would be a handful.
Yeah, we'll get to the other 5,000 next week.
Yeah, I'm sure people look forward to it.
All right. So for the last question of the week, let's discuss. This has gone viral this week, so it's a topic of discussion. It's gone viral on TikTok. People are posting videos of they're using this little simulator to show a battle between 1 million men and 1,000 gorillas, or 100 men and 1 gorilla. But the main question that was posed originally was 100 men versus 1 gorilla, who wins in a fight? 100 average men, I guess. You know, we're not talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. 100 average men chosen at random versus 1 gorilla. Would the 100 men be able to defeat the gorilla? Joel, what do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see from my background here, Clayton from Tarzan was not the villain. He was trying to protect the humans from the vicious, savage beasts that are not made in God's image. I think for sure, in all seriousness, if you're talking about 100, if you're just lining up one guy and it's one guy and one guy, but 100 guys working together, that would be like asking, could 5 wolves take down a moose? The answer would be yes. You have something that is so much more powerful. You're talking about 100 people. The thing is that gorillas are pretty smart. They're not nearly as smart as human beings. Like it's not even on the same, like
Gorillas don't have rocket ships.
So even if you just put the guys in their underwear,
That's the quote of the
no
week.
tools, with no tools or anything, those 100 guys are going to come out. Now, are a few of those 100 guys going to have their limbs ripped off?
How would they defeat
Yes.
the gorilla? So I think
Depends on the environment, what's available to them. I mean, is
All
this a
you need to
cage
do-
match
all-
like Hunger Games?
all you need to do is just have the men together jump
Yes.
on top of the gorilla. You'll crush the gorilla.
Go for sensitive
no.
organs, eyes. It doesn't matter how big that gorilla is.
I don't know
eyes,
about actually physical force. I think that you have to suffocate
So-
it by jumping on it. I don't think that you can defeat it with force, even with 100 men, because at a time, only, you surround a gorilla, you only have 9 or 10 guys surrounding it. I think a gorilla just can knock 9 or 10 men off of it. But I think that if you have them start jumping on its back and then jumping and jumping and jumping, and you use the weight of 100 men to crush and smother a gorilla, you can defeat it. I
If
don't
you
think
had
that you can
100 men
defeat it with force.
who understood like jujitsu, other types of understanding how you use leverage, for sure it would not be. And you can go after sensitive organs. Are there tools available? If there are sticks, can you take off your clothes and
There's
use
no
them as a
Can you
rope?
strategize
Why are you
now?
taking your clothes off?
If you take your shirt
You
off and
can't
use it
grab
and get around the
anything.
gorilla's neck
Yeah.
and you start choking
So-
off
Gorilla
the air
only
supply.
understands shirt off thumping. That's
Yeah.
the only thing it
Yeah.
understands.
Now
That's
he
the
can
only thing it
lift like
responds to.
2,000 pounds, and he is going to rip several people's body
No
parts,
doubt.
like Chewbacca.
No doubt. Conk.
But I'm just saying that I think you're going to end up with about 10 dead
I honestly
men,
think without
30
working
injured
together
men.
at the very beginning to smother the gorilla, I think that it would go through all 100 men if they didn't work together to smother it. I think that vital organs. What is a man going to do? Punch a gorilla in its abdomen? I mean, what's that going to do to the gorilla? That's going to do nothing.
Greg on X, and I don't know who you are, Greg. It's just Greg.
It's just Greg.
You all know who I'm talking about. Just Greg. He posted what I think is the best strategy for this. He said, "Here's my plan for 100 humans to win a fight versus a gorilla." Have you guys read this?
No.
Yeah.
Number 1, 20 people need to go in as a sacrifice. They will most likely die, unfortunately, but will keep the gorilla distracted long enough for step 2. Step 2, 40 people charge the gorilla while he's distracted and go after different parts, poke his eyes, pull his jaw, yank his arms. This would be about 6,000 pounds of human weight, which would be enough to immobilize him. Number 3, 20 people go after his neck while 40 are working to immobilize him. If we can stop him from breathing, he will pass out. Number 4, 19 people hold down all his limbs just to make sure he doesn't escape. He should be almost dead at this point. Number 5, I come in and pronounce him dead and deem the humans victorious. Rip to the fallen ones.
I put Greg in my Photoshop.
Yeah,
here.
you did. He's tribute.
That seemed a little too coherent, actually, for a Greg post. That actually was a well thought out strategy. I was expecting something
I think
much
he's
shorter
smarter.
and simpler.
He's smarter than he lets
I think
people
so
know.
too.
It's,
But I like
Elon
that-
Musk's alt account, right? It's one of them.
Right. I like that 20 people have to sacrifice them. Like 20 people just go. You're just the fodder, the cannon fodder at the beginning, and I will come in after you've all taken him down and declare victory.
I mean, obviously, it's very easy. I mean, given any tools whatsoever, humans are going to be gorillas, just evidenced by the fact that gorillas are the ones in zoos and not us. All you need is just a little dose of ketamine and he's out like a light.
All we needed, the 100 men with shotguns, I think, would defeat a gorilla. But
Okay, Robin. 50 newly promoted women against one gorilla. Who wins?
Oh, you go, girl. You go, girl. We would take him down with our self-actualization.
they
That's
would
what we
bore him
do.
to death with meetings.
Oh, boo! No, we would take him down with girl power. That's what we would
5'3"
do.
in an attitude. 5'3" in an attitude.
Oh, my people, my people. Yeah, we could totally win. We would talk to him about. Oh, I was going to say, what's the hot show on right now? I don't watch modern
Love
TV.
on the Spectrum.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what Love on the Spectrum is?
No.
It's about
is it a-
autistic people dating.
Love on the Spectrum is an
dear.
amazing show.
I've never
it really
seen
actually
it,
is.
but
It's
Dan
a
likes it, so
phenomenal
I've heard of
show.
it.
It's hilarious, but not in a way that like you're making fun of these people who are autistic that are dating. They're endearing. They're the better part of humanity in a lot of ways. Like they
Absolutely.
haven't matured emotionally enough to develop all of the really nasty habits and tendencies that people have. So they're just very kind of naive and very sincere. And you get to see them dating each other, and it's very awkward because a lot of them have, social tendencies that are bad, like
Where is
tics
this
and things
show
like that.
housed? Is this on
It's on
Netflix?
Netflix. It's like the #1 show on Netflix for like the last 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I would
haven't
highly
seen it
recommend
either,
it.
Robin, but
There's some stuff in it that gets funny with some LGBTQ stuff and things like that. But for the most part, there's some really, really great characters on there. If you want to see a man treat a woman well, like for your kids to see like how a man should treat a woman, have them watch Connor on Love on the Spectrum.
So
He's
wait, are
the
we saying-
ultimate gentleman?
are we saying Love on the Spectrum versus one gorilla? What's the matchup here that we take those guys and
I
see
don't
if
know.
their love can endure?
Robin just said something about what shows are on television, so I just kind of went off on it because it's a
I
great
did
show.
watch for the first time this week a little movie called Seven that I'd never seen, and
Never seen Seven?
I'd never. Well,
Ooh.
it's just not. It's a movie I've always wanted to see, but have always really hesitated watching to dive into. But it was interesting. I have thoughts about it. Probably.
Did you figure out what was in the box?
R-rated.
I did.
R-rated. Everything even the discussion of that movie is all R-rated.
It's a rough movie. I thought it was a great movie. I have a lot of thoughts, but we don't need to go into all of that. But Seven's an interesting movie. I don't know if I would recommend it.
So I'll do a little light watching of Love on the Spectrum and follow it up with Seven.
I really
It's perfect.
need to cleanse. Actually, it's been kind of
Love on the
weighing me
Spectrum is a
down.
good cleanse. All right, I think that wraps it up for the week. Thank you guys for joining us, guys and gals, excuse me, for joining us. And we will see you guys next week on Friday, normal time. See you then.